Welcome to the Kidderminster Harriers fans podcast, episode 27. Yesterday's Harriers threw 2 points away in the 101st minute as Macclesfield equalised to leave Adam Murray's men stunned. Tonight I'm joined by Nick, Jon, and Dan. So, fellas, riddle me this. I don't blame the referee for what happened yesterday. I blame Harriers for failing to find the net for the second time in the match. Dan, you rose from your deathbed to be there yesterday. So I think we should go with you first for your thoughts. So, Dan, what happened?
I mean, there are two sides to this coin, aren't there? I think you're absolutely right with what you're saying, Wes. However, you know what? We'd got the goal and we'd battled. And that is, I think Nick said it on his little short he did after the game. That's the first time I've ever seen a referee add extra time onto the stoppage time without any really serious sort of incident. I was a bit baffled by it. And yes, we didn't take our chances. Neither did Macclesfield within the 98 minutes that were played. And I do feel a bit robbed, but I do think you are right that we have got to start taking our chances and we've got to start putting teams away. There was a chance that Riley Reynolds had sort of towards, I think it was sort of midway towards the end of the second half, something like that. It was a wonderful ball pinged to him by Seb Thompson. Riley took a beautiful touch, lifted it over the keeper, and somehow, I don't know whether it went over or went wide. I wasn't sure because we were jumping up and down thinking it was in the back of the net. And
Yeah.
That was
you
that was
know,
Kai Innocent, Dan, with that
oh, it was
pass.
Innocent who pinged
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
It was a
it's
brilliant ball,
absolute
absolute arrow of a
unbelievable.
ball.
Yeah,
And then the touch from Riley as well was incredible to pull it down like he did. And that goes in. We're 2-0. It doesn't matter what happens in the 101st minute. So I think that is the message, really. We can, and I think we should feel hard done by, and I think we should be frustrated and angry at the referee. But ultimately, we have got to start putting away our chances because that's the only way we're going to win these games.
Dan, my dad texted me. I said, Dad, how'd it go? And he was like, they should write a strongly worded letter to the FA about the referee. And I was like, go on, Dad, just take him down, Dad. You can do that.
My
Nick,
sister was with me. She
yeah,
said, "Can't we complain?" And
yeah.
it's like, well, no, there's nothing we can
But it
do.
would be every game more or less,
Yeah,
apart
it
from
would be.
Kings Lynn, where the ref
Mm.
was amazing. Nick, you did a great little roundup piece on Saturday after the game. Um,
good mate.
is there any, thank you, is there any point in blaming the referee, or can we just move on from that? Lesson learned.
Great question. I think look, we inevitably we have to move on. There isn't a alternative to that. Fundamentally, I think at first on the short, I said, look, I need to see it again to see whether Kai could have done anything differently. Having watched it again, it's what I kind of thought happened in the moment, which is the ball took a dramatic spin. If you
Yeah,
watch it back, it takes
unbelievable.
as soon as it bounces, it takes like an incredible sort of change of pace almost, and there's no way anybody can get to that ball once that moment's happened. So certainly no blame there on Innocent in terms of being able to hook it away from off the line. So yeah, I think look, we've got to move on. Referee was it was just bizarre. I found the whole thing strange. It was almost like the ref. I thought genuinely something had happened to the referee's equipment, not in that way. But I thought there was something wrong with maybe his watch or joking. I'm not joking. I genuinely thought
No,
something's happened here, and he's completely lost control of time.
yeah,
I know a few fans have said to me on my various sort of football groups that we were wasting a lot of time and all that. That happens every week at every ground in football. I've still never seen that. I've seen teams do it to us home and away. I've seen games on the television. I've never seen 4 minutes added on unless there was something really, really significant in terms of a stoppage. So yeah, we've got to play to the final whistle. I get that. They did. They got their moment, and fair play to them. They stuck at it and stayed in the game. And we've got to try and see it through. But do also I take Adam Murray's point on board that some significant trips over the last few days, and I think we just ran out of steam in the end. And that was almost the perfect storm for us. The game went on for so much longer than even the initial 8 minutes that had been given.
I
I'm
think it's
glad you
an
mentioned that,
interesting
Nick. Sorry,
conspiracy.
sorry,
Sorry,
Dan.
sorry,
I'm
guys.
just going to
Go
keep
on.
talking about that. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Nick, about the travelling and stuff, because on the hotline, if you're not a member of Harry's hotline, you're a fan, then please get on there. It's my site, so I'll let you in, no probs, as long as you don't support filed. So in fact, Jon, you reached out to these people. Steve Fleming, who said, Fleming, Murray talked about conditioning, but the physio gets called on for cramp 4 times. We seem to have lost all our fitness. Come on now, John. What are your thoughts?
Um, I mean, first of all, I hope everything's okay with the referee's equipment. I mean, at one point, I thought that he was going to have to phone the speaking clock in order to find
Yeah,
out. And it
absolutely.
was sponsored by
The
Accurus,
Accurus would have known, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. So I understand that a lot of people will think, looking on, the physio's got called on 4 times for cramp. There's a conditioning issue. I think we know it's not a conditioning issue. On the whole, it's game management. It doesn't take Dr. Quinn medicine woman to know that Dibble isn't having cramp pretty much exactly halfway through each half of every game. It's game management. It happens as you guys say, up and down the country, every ground pretty much. And it's happening more and more at this level, and we're doing it very effectively. It worked incredibly well on Tuesday in order to break up their passages of play. And the main thing it does is give us the opportunity to get the players some instruction. And I actually thought it worked very, very well yesterday when Dibble first went down with cramp. Adam Murray called the guys over and had a word with pretty much all of them and got them to rejig what they were doing, which I thought he did very effectively. I think the game started. I clearly think Murray must have seen something in his analysis of Macclesfield that said they're susceptible to the ball over the top, the long ball, and that was our initial approach, and it didn't really work. I think we didn't implement it as well as he would have liked us to. I think Walker was 5 yards behind every ball, and he just wasn't able to run onto them. I think mainly because they were just slightly overhit, and it just wasn't matching up. So that game management enabled Adam Murray to get the instructions to the players that he wanted to, and that changed our game very positively. Yes, it will always mean that we have probably more additional time than a lot of games where teams aren't utilising that game management so much. But you have to take the rough with the smooth. Yes, we have more added time, but also we're able to give the players a little break, a chance to get some instruction, and just to reset as well. Really, if something isn't working, right, come over, let's reset, and let's go again.
Okay, Dan, before you say anything, Ken Morgan, you might know Ken, you might not know Ken. He's a big fan of the hotline and hopefully of the podcast as well. Ken Morgan's not happy. He says, it annoys me when I have a 5 o'clock bus to catch. Dan, your thoughts?
Do you know, when you think about the conspiracy of the referee's equipment, I nearly said referee's tackle then, the referee's equipment. There was a moment during the injury time, during the 8 minutes of injury time, where we had a free kick just in front of the dugout, and there was a bit of a stoppage of play there. Now, it wasn't 4 minutes worth of stoppage. It was at best maybe a minute and a half. And it went through my head yesterday that the ref had forgotten to restart his watch at that point. And he's looked down and gone, oh, and he's started it as he's running. Now, I know that's happened many, many years ago in a Premier League game, and the referee actually held his hands up and said, I had a failure on my watch, so I had to add on the extra time. It's all a conspiracy. It's something we are never going to know the answer to. Whether every time Dibble, sort of caught the ball, went down on his knees, that was what, maybe 3-4 seconds? It's not minutes. But I also wonder if maybe there was something in the referee's head where he's gone, well, they're just trying to see the game out, so I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to add on every tiny little bit of dark art that I see. It was frustrating, but I think we go back to the original point. If we're 2-0 up, it doesn't matter.
I'm glad you talk about dark arts then, because the way the Macclesfield goal, where the ball just rolled, I mean, that was classic dark art. Was that Phil Brown dark arts, you think? He's
There
just
was
doing that from
definitely,
behind the
was it?
fence or something? I don't know. John, let's leave that. John, why are we so shy in front of goal? 10 goals in 8 games. Ricardo Reis has nearly scored as many as we have combined. Are we hoping No-Show Silva and Mooney are fit ASAP?
I think that's the key. I think that's the key, Wes. And Adam Murray touched on that on Thursday night at the curry with Murray. Very nice, by all accounts, it was. I think that's the key. Really, is we didn't really appreciate how key Mooney was to the team. I know we've praised how much squad depth there is, but we are in a position where we're relying on a player coming back not only to affect play and create chances, but also to be quite instrumental in our striker scoring goals. As in, a lot of Willoughby's goals in the past have been provided by Mooney, and they're almost like a little bit of an Ant and Dec double act. And I think Show Silva, we haven't seen enough of him to know how effective he's going to be as that central striker, but we certainly know he knows where the net is. I thought that Amari Morgan-Smith had a fantastic game yesterday. I thought he did everything that was asked of him really, really well. I thought he held up play really effectively. He was really strong. I thought people ran off him well. And I thought he won pretty much every flick on. The problem is when people are running off him, and there's no one in front of them to then deliver those chances to. That in itself is a bit of a problem. There were two instances where we probably should have scored a second yesterday. And the first one that fell to Obi, I can't blame him too much for that. I don't think he was expecting that rebound back to him. I actually think he did well in the time he had to set himself and get a shot away. It wasn't skied or anything like that. It wasn't too far away. I think he did very well in that instance. It's just a shame that it didn't find the net. And I think that was, in addition to yet another great game that he had, apart from one mistake. And then obviously the Riley Reynolds double R. I think he just made the wrong choice there. I don't think the keeper was necessarily rushing out or hurrying him. I think whether he didn't realise he had time, whether he just in the moment thought that there was less of a gap than there was, I don't know. But why he didn't just shoot low and across the keeper,
Can I add to that, John? Being a tall, nowhere near as good goalkeeper as whoever the Macclesfield goalkeeper was, but I noticed he was quite tall, slim sort of guy, and goalkeepers hate it down low when they're tall and that physique, that shape. So if you think about it, Riley's gone to put it over, I would say, a 6'2", 6'3" looking-ish goalkeeper from where I was sat, instead of actually hitting it down low, and would have been much more difficult for him to get down to. That being said, obviously Luke Spokes' goal has looped in, but that's just one of those where the keeper's been done by the fact he's miskicked it into the ground.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that one's gone in. That's not the same thing as the Riley Reynolds one, in my opinion. I'm with you, John, but especially with the profile of the keeper, physique-wise, low and hard would have been a much more difficult save for a profile of that keeper.
Yeah, the angle he was at, I think there was quite a lot of the goal to aim at. I think if he'd gone low and across goal, it would have been 2-0. But we're not in that position. We didn't know necessarily how much time he thought he had on the ball. And I thought, he tried his heart out yesterday. It's just a shame that didn't.
No, he's brilliant. Yeah.
Okay.
There was also there was also a chance for OB. I don't know if you guys remember it towards the end of the second half, where I think it was either from a corner. It must have been for OB to have been in the 18-yard box, but it basically went across the face of goal, and he was probably 3 yards out, and the ball I think went under his foot. So that was another great chance. But I think the point I want to raise on that is that you talk of 3 really good chances we've had. 2 of them have fallen to defenders, and 1 to an attacking midfielder, and I think that's where to put my little 2 pennies worth into the original question, Wes, is that's the concern, is that the strikers aren't getting chances. They're not getting good chances. And that, I think, is the worry. But I also think Dan Mooney hopefully fixes some of that when he comes back.
Okay, let's move on quickly. So, Nick,
Hello.
curry with Murray. You were there. I wasn't there. I made a call on Thursday morning that wouldn't make it, and it was a good call in the end because I'd have got back about 2 a.m., which I didn't want to do. So, can we have your thoughts, please, on that? Can you sum that up in 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
I'll try. First of all, curry was great. Really, really nice curry. Enjoyed that. Nice table, good company. Obviously, nice to see John and a few other Harriers fans, and got some nice comments about the podcast and whatnot. So that was Really nice. So thanks to those guys. I thought Murray came across really well. I think he started the sort of format was the curry for everybody. Then Scott had an interview with Adam. Then there was a quick drinks and wee break, and then it was Q&A. And I thought Murray started maybe a little bit. There was a little bit. It's always a bit weird to start these interviews with, but I thought Murray really warmed into it well. I think key sort of takeaways from his playing days were the fact, a lot of fans might not know this, but he played in the England under-20s team. He played with players like Frank Lampard, John Terry, Joe Cole, he mentioned. And so, he was really at the highest echelons of English football for a period of time. And I think he may have had some kind of some struggles that meant he maybe wasn't able to achieve his full potential in his playing days, but found himself at Mansfield and one of the youngest ever assistant managers. And then he went off to Besiktas. He's had quite a varied coaching career, some amazing experiences. Talked a little bit about his time at Fylde and I guess some of the naivety that they showed once they got into the National League. A little bit maybe like ourselves in some ways. That obviously wasn't covered. But then I think in terms of his management style at Harriers, he talked a lot about kind of being insight and data led, talking about XG and really looking at almost player by player, opposition by opposition. So really tailoring his tactical and team selection approach based on the nature of opposition we're having, what sort of levels of physical load the players have been going through, what their capacity is to play 2 games in one day, what the surface is. Really detailed, really data driven. And I think that polarizes fans in some ways. I think some love that sort of modern approach. I think other fans would have been sat there thinking, well, the only stat we care about is whether we've scored more goals than the opposition. That's always the debate with data. Sorry, my screen just went really weird. I think my laptop's having an update. So yeah, really data led, and I think we're going to see a lot of consistently different teams based on data that fans aren't going to see. So sometimes the view that he doesn't know his best team or he doesn't know. His view is that he knows the best team for that day based on the data that he's got.
Yeah. Okay. It's exciting.
So the only other thing was that I paid for a coffee that I didn't receive, which was quite annoying. But outside of that, I think that's pretty much my summary of it, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But just close the club now. If they can't give Nick his coffee when he's paid for it, jeez, what are you doing?
Just very quickly, I know you said I had 3 minutes. When I said, "Oh look, I didn't get my coffee. Can I have my money back?" It wasn't able to be done. So I said, "Look, I'm quite a standout figure in terms of size. So next time I come in, I'll get a free drink." And we verbally agreed that. So in my mind, that's a deal. So I'll be collecting my free drink at some point. Probably at the director's lunch in a couple of weeks' time.
Are you basically ratting in the Agra suite? Is that what this is? Just they're held accountable now.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'd describe it as ratting, but I wasn't provided with my beverage, so I'm looking forward to getting my next beverage for the inconvenience, if nothing else. Absolutely. But no, it was really good. The staff were great. Really, I'm only
Excellent. Dan, I can see you just waiting to go. Well, how about this, Dan? The new fastest kid alive, Walker, got a start yesterday. How did he do, and what did he add to the team?
Well, as you guys know, I've been a little bit of a fan of George Walker. I saw him at the Worcester friendly, and he is lightning quick. But it's Adam Murray's talked a lot about how he likes to develop the younger players, and I think he's clearly seen something in George Walker. I thought George Walker started well yesterday. I thought there were, like John said, there were a few balls that he had no chance getting anywhere near. He had a good effort at goal in the first half, sort of down the left wing, cut in on his right foot, and had a pop that their keeper made a good save from. I think the moment that really stood out for me with Walker, he hassles people, and if they're not sharp enough themselves on the ball, he gets in there. And there was a couple of times in the first half where he got across defenders, got his foot in and took the ball away. Unfortunately, nothing came of those moments, but it just shows that there are little shoots of something in him as a player. And I think the real standout moment was it was midway through the second half. He had a good run at their left back, and he just blitzed past him. And their left back was quick. He was a pacey guy, and George Walker just blitzed past him. But luckily for for Macclesfield, their big centre half had sort of half dropped back into a sweeper position and came across and then just basically levelled Walker out. And I think that in itself is almost a badge of honour that they were clearly very nervous of his pace, and he does have good feet. He does have good ball control. Um, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, second half of the season if Murray does what he wants to do and really kind of develops him as a player. I think he's going to end up being really, really dangerous. I like him.
I agree.
Excellent. Well, from what Nick's saying, it sounds like we're going to have a different team for every game, depending on the stats and the data. That's what it sounds like. Jon, you're a positive kind of guy, so please, can you tell us about the positives from yesterday's game? There must have been some.
There were an awful lot of positives.
Good.
Awful lot of positives
Good.
from yesterday's game. Just considering from what Nick said, I think I was one of the people that was sat here a few Sundays ago saying Adam Murray needs to find his best 11. He needs to get a settled 11, and that's really important. But I think in what he's doing and what he's communicating, he's changing a few minds on that. And I think the changes that he's making are not trying to find the best 11. They are really purposeful. I still would prefer to see 2 or 3 rather than 5 or 6. But I think we need to give him a chance with those. Positives from yesterday, as I said. Amari Morgan-Smith, I think, is playing some of the best football that he's played for quite a while, actually, and I think he's being utilised as the kind of player that he now is. Unfortunately, he isn't getting those chances at goal, and so he's not a scoring number 9, but he's a very effective number 9. Again, I thought Obi had another great game. I thought that Pierce Bird. Do we know how Pierce Bird is, by the way? Is there any update on him after he was carried off? I thought he made one of, similarly to Kingsland, actually, one of the most textbook tackles you will ever see.
Yes.
I thought Innocent and Divine, both really positive. I think it was the ball from Divine for Spoke's goal was great. And we had that little bit of luck with the Spoke's goal. And we had a little bit of bad luck at the end, obviously, with the refs equipment not functioning.
Yeah.
I thought that Riley Reynolds really hassled people well. I thought there were real positives all across the pitch, I think. And I think I know that there was some criticism of Alex Penny's game.
Yeah.
I think one of Penny's biggest strengths for me is his communication and his ability to talk to the players about the way that the game is progressing, to get them to move out, to be more attentive, to be aware of situations, and I think that's a lot of what he brings. There were a couple of mistakes that he made up for really well. George Walker, again, I thought real positive. And biggest positive, as I said, sorry, that's my cat peering over the screen.
Hey, cat. Classic.
Biggest positive, as I said, was, we tried something with the first 10, 15 minutes. It didn't work. We had a little bit of game management, a little bit of dark arts. Let's rejig things a bit. Walker, I thought, played at points alongside AMS really effectively, and then drifted back out and in and out, very hokey-cokey. But we're changing things dependent on the way the game is going. We're not trying something for 60, 70 minutes and then going, oh, God, this hasn't worked, let's change it now.
Yeah.
We're being dynamic and early in games, and I think that's really, really going to be important going forward, and I think we're seeing the positives of that.
I also think as well, there's sorry, Wes, I keep talking over you. I also think there's a little relationship building there between Joe Folks and Obi as well. There was a few pieces of lovely interplay on the right wing as well between those. And I can't think who the third person was involved. I feel like I want to say Spokes, but there was some nice football played yesterday as well, which is what I've wanted to see. So I think that's a big positive.
I'm glad you're fine, Dan, now. That's excellent news. So let's move on to the results from yesterday. No real standard upsets, I don't think, yesterday. I think the league calmed down a little bit. Am I the only person who feels that way, or are we feeling that way a little bit? Alfreton Town 1, King's Lynn 1, Bedford Town 2, Curzon 2, Buxton 2, Oxford City 1. Chester 1, Scarborough 1. Scarborough doing so well. They conceded in the 95th minute. I know that felt. Chorley 3, Telford 1, Dartlow 1, Hereford 1. Hereford get another point on the road. Harriers 1, referee and Macclesfield 1. I'm kidding. Merthyr 2-0. Nick, your mate Reese scored both. We've got back to brace. Happy days against Worksop Town. Peterborough Sport, man. Have you heard Michael Gash is injured now? He's out for a long time. Have you heard that?
Didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I heard that today. Sad to hear. I think he's adapted to his new role very well. It's good to see him still playing football, but I think that could be a real, unfortunately, severe impact on the rest of his career. But wish him all the best for a speedy recovery.
Absolutely, yeah. Harry's legend. So Peterborough Sports, Neil filed 5. Radcliffe 4, Marine 1, Southport 0, South Shields 0, and Spennymoor 2, Leamington 1. We asked the fans to vote, and they chose. I don't want to say it, but they chose team of the day yesterday as the team that has a great stadium, but no fans. Say it, John. You ain't got no fans.
There's more atmosphere on the moon.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful quote that was, John. So Fard were chosen as team of the day, which I don't like that at all. But yeah, that happened. So let's talk any other business. And by the way, Nick, I have got a stat for you that might just blow your mind, my friend.
Stop it.
No, I know, right? I know you love them. So, right, okay. So, hang on a minute. What's going on here? So, any other business? John Smith.
Any other business? The business is the FA Cup. FA Cup second qualifying round coming up. I am probably less excited about this one than anyone we've had in recent years. Second qualifying round against Telford away. It's a really rubbish stage of the competition against potentially some really difficult opposition there.
Yeah.
I would like to see us use this as an opportunity to find some attacking momentum. I don't think we necessarily lose a massive amount by going out of the cup at this stage. Obviously, I don't want us to, but I think it's potentially worth trying. If Murray has got any ideas about, maybe I could try something a bit different. Maybe this is the opportunity to try AMS and Willoughby together, like you said he may do the other night. Yeah. I think this is the game to do it in. And yeah, let's see what we can do there.
Dan, any other business at all?
Yeah, so I'm worried that this might be taking away your stat, but I'm going to go for it anyway. So
do it, Dan. Wait till I've done my stat, and then if your stat is the same as mine, just say well done, Wes. Kudos.
All right, well, I'm going to say one word. I'm going to say attendances.
Oh no,
Oh,
that was
right. I'm on
no,
safe
but I
ground.
saw that stat, so please carry on.
Yeah. So big thanks to Stuart Wallstrom, who was the chap who posted it on the Harry's hotline. So we had 3,007 with 300 away fans. So a great turnout from Macclesfield. That's a long way for them to come. So, I'll take my hat off to those guys. Chester, 2,500. But then every team after that are around 1,500, right the way down to Peterborough that had 350 fans at their game. Yeah. But that really is going to sound like I'm gushing now, but that really makes me proud. And I really hope that every single supporter realizes how important they are to the club. And I hope the club realizes that as well. And you know what? There are going to be frustrations in this season, whether it's with the referee, whether we're not getting the results we want. And, regardless of whether we go up or not next year, let's just not stop being part of Kidderminster Harriers, because it's fantastic to see our local club pulling in some of the biggest attendances for the day. So, that's a round of applause to everybody who was there, to the guys who go to the away games. I know I don't make much of those, but we're an awesome club. And yeah, regardless of what league we're playing in next year, I know I'll be there. So
Nick, I'll give you a chat in a minute, but I just want to carry on what Dan was saying about attendances. So we've got to give a shout to the 78 people who went from Truro all the way to Carlisle and back again. 78 people. I mean, that's a round of applause. That is a 878 mile journey. What's that? 3 weeks? Blimey heck, that's crazy. But Truro, I don't think they can do much this. Maybe because of the distance and stuff. Maybe their level is the league below. I don't know. Anyway, Nick, any other business, my friend?
I would hate to see their data if they've travelled that far. The players, their data would be poor, I imagine. So, sort of carries on a little bit from what John was saying. I was at the leisure centre this morning. As I was leaving, somebody that I'd never seen, family, said, Nick. I looked over. They're like, loving the podcast. Are you on tonight? Which was really nice. So I guess just goes back to what John was saying. Someone I've never met before was asking me about it and whatnot. So a big shout out to those guys if you're watching this evening. Swans under 8 girls, first game of the season, my little girls team. Big smashing win, first game of the season. So well done to Mags and the girls. Joe Folks, no one's mentioned the Stonewall penalty in the first half.
Yes.
I mean, another really poor decision from the referee. So Jonathan Chadwick, who was the referee yesterday, your equipment clearly failed you at the weekend, but at least your main character syndrome was fully functional this weekend. And then finally, some good news to end on from me, which appears to be that Mooney is back in training. I think he's getting very close towards his return date. And I think he's being earmarked for a few minutes at Curzon, which, I'm sure we're all delighted.
Curzon?
And touchwood.
Already played Curzon.
So, sorry, Buxton.
Buxton, yeah.
Buxton at home, yeah. So, touchwood, he gets through his rehabilitation over the next week or so, and we see him back, because I'm hoping sometimes you just need that one player that just sparks us.
Well, thank you, Nick. You done? You done with any business? Yep. Okay.
I am.
So, Nick, you've astounded us with stats the whole time we've on this podcast journey. It's episode 27. I thought I'd throw one your way tonight. So,
go on.
If we had scored 2 goals in every match that we've played so far this season, bearing in mind we scored 3 against Leamington, we would have got 7 more points and be top of the league by 2 points. Let that sink in.
So ChatGPT is a wonderful thing.
Actually, I did that. I was trying to figure out with I was like, I'm going to figure out whatever. But yeah. So
Back of a fanny packet style.
Here's another stat for you, Wes.
Go on, John.
If my auntie had testicles, she'd be my uncle. So we can only go from where we are.
Thanks, John. I think thanks. I'm not sure. Is your auntie okay? I don't know what's going on there. Obviously a big shout out to everyone who's been watching and subscribing. We got 5 more subscribers last week, which was amazing. Thank you so much. If you hit subscribe, it means an awful lot. We've got to get 1,000 subscribers before we can actually take this podcast further than it already is, which would be great. Spotify as well. We're on Spotify, in case anyone knew or didn't know. I always forget to give a mention, but with Spotify, we're on there. If someone wants to like what have we done? Nearly all the episodes are on there. That'd be brilliant. And you can hit subscribe. You get the latest podcast, which will be straight after we've kind of done it. And leave a review. Someone left a 5-star review. Probably said, I've not seen it, so it probably says, I love Nick. So it's probably fair.
Wes, can I add one more thing?
Oh God, yes.
You love me. Do you love me as well, Dan?
Oh well, yeah. I mean that's a given, mate. There's no questioning that. But I actually met Andy, the graphics guy, at the game yesterday, just before the game. What an absolute legend! Really, really nice guy. Had a great chat with him. Yeah, the guy who does all our graphics. Had a great chat with him pre-game. Andy, we thank you for everything you've done, and just so you know, your fan club membership form is in the post, so that'll be with you shortly.
Can you make me look less angry?
Yeah,
I mean, I've not had any involvement.
I've not
had any involvement in my character, but I'm always furious. So
at least
we can maybe
change
like
that. At least it looks.
Does
like
it?
Yeah, it
maybe,
does.
maybe.
Well, yeah, maybe a little bit. So that's it, guys. Right, we've got 2 minutes left now. So Telford's away FA Cup. I know John said he's not really bothered if we do or don't. But can I get a score prediction, please, Dan?
I'm going to go with 1-1 replay at Harriers. Do they do replays in this round?
Wouldn't have thought
They do at this stage, yeah.
They do, yeah.
And then don't later on, which is
when you need it.
Don't get me soapboxing about the footballing
traditions.
Let's not do that. Nick, score please.
I'm going to go so out of the box, really left field. I'm going to go 1-0.
John.
Okay, I'm going to shock everyone. I'm going to say 3-0 to Harriers, and I'm going to say that Adigan is going to be on the score sheet. I would
hope so. That'd be great.
See him starting the game. Adigan, Walker. I'd love to see them start.
That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? Someone's going to get 4-0 at some point. I don't think it's going to be against Telford, but you never know. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. If you've got any comments on anything that's been said today, please leave it below and we'll chat about it next week as well. That'd be awesome. Have yourself a great week and they'll see you at Telford if you're going to be there as well. Come on, you Reds. Thanks, guys.
I will.
Thanks,
Good night.
See you.